Yo boys, back with another video. Today we are going to be doing the good old fashioned pre-prediction class, tier list pretty much. So it is, as you can see, 7 a.m. My dog's in the background. You may hear her later on in the video. We'll see what happens. I'm going to try to keep this short. And first off, we're going to start off with no tanks. I don't like doing tanks. Obviously, if a tank's really broken or really good, I'll put it on the list. But so far right now, tanks are kind of just meh. The only tank that's ever been usually viable is either Blood DK or maybe like DH tank, and that's just because of their amount of CC, or they just are, they just do a lot of damage. Their Brewmaster used to be really good too, so we'll put the tank wise. This will always be usually. Nah. Let's just say all tanks are dookie right now. I don't really want to go into rating tanks at this point. But this is pre-prediction. Now I did see nerfs and buffs, but I didn't see them all. So this is a pre-prediction. So this is all weighing the because people try out beta and they try out pre-patch, and once something's super broken, usually Blizzard will go in and fix it before it actually gets released. Sometimes they don't. So you guys will have to let me know what you guys think is going to be broken and all that good stuff. This is a personal opinion, not based off of anything. I've been literally leveling characters, so I wouldn't know what's broken right now, or all that good stuff. But you guys will have to let me know in the comments. And you gotta remember, we're in old gear, so we don't. Next expansion, we're gonna have more HP, more verse, more everything. So the damage that you're doing right now isn't gonna be what you're doing. Like you may, like all I'm trying to say is the damage that you may be doing right now isn't gonna be the damage that you're going to be doing next expansion. That's not how it works. So just a heads up. But first off, we're going to start off with what I think Warlock's going to be. I think Affy's going to be an S tier spec. Unless it's get Affy needs a fat nerf, and it needs a nerf on its UI. So when you dispel any other class, you can dispel, and it doesn't do nearly as much damage as an Affy. So you get silence for 4 seconds, and you take 50% of your HP per dispel. So that needs to be cut. They either need to make SP, LE, Boomy. They need to make those classes, like that, or they need to nerf Affy. Because like it's not fair to the other classes that literally need bleeds to do damage. Like SP, Boomy. If you dispel their bleeds or an Ellie, then you literally don't get procs. You don't do damage. It's terrible. But the Affy's the one class that if you play with them, then you actually get to play your class. Which it should never be like that. You just make the bleeds unpurgeable or undispellable if you're gonna make it like that. Like, make them to where everyone's an Affy-like. And yeah, it would be really annoying, but it's the fact that Affy's just that strong. And not being able to dispel versus this class, if this guy gets bleeds on all 3 targets, you lose the game pretty much. They just do unhealable damage, and it's just disgusting. So I think Affy's definitely. I haven't heard any huge nerfs on this, so I assume it's going to be broken, pretty much how it usually is. Destro Warlock. I've actually heard a lot about this. It's got a big buff, and I predict this is going to be pretty insane for a while, unless it gets immediately nerfed. Yeah, I feel like Destro is going to be a god tier spec. Demo. I don't know how I feel about Demo, honestly. I feel like Demo's going to be an A tier spec. Demo's the class that has a lot of control, but it really just, you kind of have Tyrant damage, and then you're pretty much just like an AFK bot. Now, I'm hoping, I know Frost Mage got a big buff, and I'm hoping it is good, because that's what I plan on playing to Glad on one of my characters. I'm going to be playing a Frost Mage Demo Lock. I have 2 other people that I can play with that are good, that I almost got Glad on another account, but the season ended, so it was unlucky. But yeah, Demolog's probably going to be an A tier class. I don't really know though. I haven't really seen much. At the moment, Demo's good with control, but it's kind of lacking on the sense of overall damage. Like when you're a PvE class like this, you need consistency, and this class just has burst, and then off your burst you're kind of just doing nothing, and this needs to be consistent. Like your tyrant just needs a little bit. It needs to be a little bit of a buff. It can't be like a red paladin. When you're making classes like these, you kind of have to base them off of PvE, just like Assassination. Assassination does no damage off your Kingsbane or off your improved growths. It's the same thing with Demolog. Off your big burst goes, you literally just do negative damage. But yeah, that's pretty much that. So Lock's gonna be pretty solid next season, that's for sure. Let's go with Mage. So my prediction for Mage is I think Mage is going to be an S tier spec. It got a massive buff, and all it really needed was a 5 to 8% buff, and it would have been godly. Like it misses that extra damage. Like as a Frost Mage on your mini goes, like on your CC goes, you need to be able to 100 somebody in that 6 to 10 ratio of CC. And if you can't do that, then usually your class is bad. Especially when you're popping cooldowns and you're doing damage and you're doing a bunch of CC and you have another teammate with you. So my prediction is it's probably going to be S tier. Obviously, there's a chance it might get nerfed, but I heard it got huge buffs and it was B tier for a long time. So actually, I think what I'm gonna do is I'll put it as A tier. It could be S tier, but I don't know about it. Like I haven't heard anything. Nobody's been like, "Oh, yo, Frostmage is broken." So I'm gonna put it as A instead of S for now. Arcane Mage, I haven't really heard anything about this. This was A tier, but I'm pretty sure it did receive a nerf, and I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like it's gonna be pretty okay, but not really good. So I'll put it as B tier for now. It can maybe be A tier, but the only people playing this are the like literally rank ones just trying to have fun because it is a fun spec. I think Arcane's the fun like having fun on Arcane is 10 times more fun than playing Fire Mage and Frost Mage this entire expansion. For Arcane Mage, you're just running around. You have consistency. Your burst is fun to use. You can actually like have fun with your class. I feel like Fire Mage and Frost Mage are just the same. Just generic. It's just boring, honestly. I like playing classes that aren't really played that much because there's a level of unique, but I still don't think it's gonna be that good. It needs a big damage buff, and that's pretty much it. It was kind of like Frost Mage last season. I think honestly, Frost Mage was worse than Arcane. So it would go Arcane, it would go Fire, Arcane, and then Frost. Frost Mage was terrible. I've never played with a worse spec in season 4 than a Frost Mage. It was just they just did no damage off their like opener. It was actually just delirious. But yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about that and how I think that's going to be. Fire Mage is going to be an A tier spec. Um, they just die too quick and they can only play 2 comps. So it's like I wish Fire Mage like I wish they gave you Glass Cannon without taking all your HP down, and then they just gave you Burst. Like they try to make these classes like they do the same thing with Sub Rogue. Stop trying to make this class. It's a single target class. Stop making it into an AoE build. It's so annoying and irritating. This class is made to do single target damage, and they made it to where, oh, well, you can only play AoE build or you just don't do any damage. So it's disgusting how they made this class, but it's probably going to be an A tier spec, but we'll see. Because Feral Mage is really good, just because you're getting that extra damage from the Mage, and it's you're having really good CC chains. But that's pretty much that. Next spec, Ellie. Ellie's probably going to be an A tier spec. I haven't really heard much about Ellie. Ellie was okay this season. It was probably A tier. Um, it was alright. I feel like it was a little bit too dampener, and you just had to play really certain comps to make it work. But overall, I think it was good. Like in solo shuffle and all that, it was definitely good. But I don't know how I feel about it. So that's pretty much that. Enhancement Shaman B tier. Enhance was actually not bad. It's just it all comes down to your procs, and that's pretty much it. So it can be A tier sometimes, but usually I presume it's gonna be B tier. Only like there's only one person I know that actually plays the spec, and they're just farming rank ones. It's Big Dem. I face him a good amount in solo shuffle. He literally plays like 14 of these, and it's like the most loser POV thing I've ever seen in my life. But yeah, Enhancement Shaman, it's probably gonna be B tier. If it gets lucky, it'll get on A tier just because it's one-shotting. But the only time Enhance is ever good is if it's randomly proccing one-shots. So it's a class that just needs to stay, down below. So that's my prediction on that. We'll see though. And Restless Shaman's probably going to be an A tier class. I haven't really heard much about Restless Shamans. Right now, Restless Druid, Evokers, and Disc Priests are probably your go-to 3 classes right now. I don't know if they buffed anything or whatnot, but as far as I know, um, those are probably the best healers right now. So hopefully, other healers get buffed and all that good stuff. We'll see what happens. But that's pretty much how I feel about that. Arms Warrior, I think is actually going to be an S tier spec. It got a massive buff. Same with Fury Warrior. I think it got buffed enough to where it'll be useful again. So it's like instead of it just being a Mortal Strike bot or Fury Warrior was actually really good. I think Fury Warrior was actually a lot better than Arms Warrior for a very long time, but they're both getting a massive buff. So that's going to be very nice for the people that are wanting to play Fury Warrior and Arms Warrior. So that's what my predictions are on Fury Warrior and Arms Warrior. I feel like they're going to be S tier for a while, unless they get a fat nerf randomly. These are going to be very good specs next season. So if you're looking to play Warrior, I think now is the time to go for Warrior this expansion, or at least this season. But yeah, I think both specs are going to be god. They're going to be really good. Definitely, you're going to see a lot of them pretty much. Next spec here, Assassination. I feel like it's gonna get a fat nerf. I don't know how I feel about Assass. Assass is actually really good. I heard that they're taking Shadow Dance away from other specs. I don't know if that's true or not. But if it is true, then Assassination is pretty much useless at that point. The only reason Assass is viable is because you're Shadow Dance and you're able to grow everything. And that's pretty much the only reason that Assassination is viable, because like you do no damage off of your Kingsbane and your improved growth. That's the only time you can ever kill anything or do any damage. Like you'll literally do a flat line of like 60k DPS without improved growth. It's actually insane. They made this class into like a Kingsbane one shot, kind of like a sub rogue with like silences. It's the most annoying thing in life. But yeah, I assume it's gonna be getting nerfed and go to A tier real quick. I don't. Rogues really never stay broken, or they never stay really good. They always get thrown around every season. So I assume it's gonna be A tier, B tier. We'll see what happens. Sub Rogue got a buff, so I assume it's going to be A tier. There is a chance it could be S tier depending on what the buff was. Again, I haven't heard anything. Usually when people, are like, "Oh my God, Rogue's broken. Look at this." Like I get a bunch of messages. I haven't gotten a single message in this pre-patch of it being broken. So I assume it's good, but I don't know how I feel about it. I don't feel like these classes are gonna stay good or even broken. They'll be nerfed. They're the only classes that get nerfed in the same week as the buff. So like they buff a class and the next Tuesday it gets nerfed, and then they buff a class and they nerf it. It's the only class that just gets butchered 24/7, all around the clock. Outlaw Rogue is going to be B tier. I have no hope in Outlaw, and I think Outlaw is a fun, unique spec as well. I think they kind of made it into an AoE spec. Oh, you don't if you don't have every target on top of you, you don't do any damage. Same thing with Assassin Rogue. Oh, if you don't have three people on top of you and you're not able to hit multi-hit, it's just like a PvE season. Like this entire expansion and next expansion will probably just be based off of PvE. So like the classes that are based off just max PvE and everything will be top dogs. But we'll see. Next class, Evoker got a massive buff. I actually saw that. So Evoker, I guarantee is going to be an S tier spec. It's been godly this entire expansion. So I assume it's going to be really good next expansion for the good old Fash. Augmentation, B tier spec. Augmentation has some really good bursts, but overall it doesn't really. It just lacks the damage that a Dev has, and that's just where it comes down to. So it just comes down to like who can PvE the most, and this class just can't do it. If you're not a PvE class, I wouldn't bother. Unless you're doing really good 3 setups or something like that, then it could work out, but who knows. Next spec here, let's go with Evoker Healer. Evoker, I assume, is going to be an S tier spec. Evoker's been S tier this entire expansion, pretty much. Kinda, I'm pretty sure this entire expansion, or at least half of it. And I guarantee this is going to get Mo broken. Evokers in general are just going to be insane. Next back here, let's go with Ferrodurd. Ferrodurd, I feel like is going to be a really good. Ferrodurd in season 4 was broken and brain dead. They were hitting 500 to 650k bites every single go. If you guys want to know the percentage of that, so imagine you're at 100%. They do a CC go, and you go from 100 to 40, and then your teammates, you're just dead. So pretty much you're dead in 3 to 4 seconds worth of stuns. That's what Ferrodurd can do, and I assume it's going to get even better. Again, unless this has like a nerf that I don't know about, Feral Mage is going to be pretty insane. Feral Destrolog, Feral Dev Evoker, both of those are going to be really good, and can't wait to see them. It's surprising to see Feral doing good, but yeah, it's definitely not bad. I'd say if in threes it's really good, in twos it's lacking, and Solo Shuffle it's kind of lacking, but in three specifically, the overall class is really good. I think it's 100% S tier spec. Maybe it could be. I'll put it as A tier just to be, because at least as Pharaoh you kind of have to do CC setups. As these other classes you kind of just, you know, I think that looks better to be honest. Because just because Pharaohs do die, and although they do unhealable burst, they're at least killable, unlike these other classes. They're literally just like, I mean, obviously Fury Warrior's killable, but you know what I'm trying to say here. Frost DK, I assume, is going to be an A tier spec. Frost DK is that one spec that is good if you play it good. So like if you play Frost DK Dev Evoker, it's gonna work out usually versus most classes, just because it's just the amount of pressure that you're getting. Frost DKs do a immense amount of damage, but you need a like you need a teammate, you need a strong third to just do the extra damage. Because the Frost DK can 100 to 30 you pretty much in a couple of seconds, not even, and then you just need that extra pressure to finish the job. So I assume it's going to be an A tier 100% next season. Again, this is prediction, so this is what I think is going to happen, or what's going to be meta, or what's going to be good. So this is not current. This is technically based off of current, and you'll understand what I'm saying. And you guys can come back to this video and let me know, what I was right on, what I was wrong, all that good stuff. Boomy, um, or let's go with the rest of DK first. I'm kind of getting off track. Unholy DK, I assume is going to be an A tier. Actually, maybe even an S tier. Holy DK is that class that usually is good. I've seen a lot of DKs this season, a lot. Like at least 80% of my solo shuffles have had a DK in it, a DK or a Warrior or a Warlock. Those three have every single lobby that there's been in. So I feel like DK is just that class that's super PvE. You kind of just do whatever you want, and you can die, but you kind of just chilling. So who knows what this will be? I feel like it's going to be an S tier, depending on, again, if it gets fat nerfed or fat buffed. But right now, currently, it's really good. It's a fun class to play, and you're kind of just PvEing it down. But we'll see how that goes. The next spec here, Boomy. Boomy is going to probably be an A tier spec. Boomy, you have CC. Right now, it's lacking overall damage. Like, again, these classes that rely off your burst heavily just don't end up good because you're sitting in bear form 90% of the game and you're just taking unhealable damage. If you have a Fury Warrior on you or literally any class right now, you literally have to sit in bear form. The moment you come out, you get kidney shot or you get stunned, and then you're just dead in 2 globals. And then by the time your in card's done, you got sealed, CC'd on it, you're literally just hitting for like a wet banana. It is absolutely terrible, and there's no wonder I barely seen any boomies. It's good if you play really good, but otherwise it's not worth it. Maybe in solo shovel, but yeah, that's pretty much that. Rustler's probably gonna be an S tier spec. Rustler's just that class that really never gets nerfed, and when it does get nerfed, it just doesn't get touched much. BM Hunter, I feel like is going to be an A tier spec. Again, BM's also that class that just sits there, PvEs. It's always usually been really good with damage. It just hasn't been as broken as MM Hunter, but it's been really good. So MM Hunter obviously is going to be an S tier. We all kind of know this. MM Hunters have been disgusting, and I assume they're only going to get better. I heard that explosive shot can't be dispelled. I don't know if that's right, but if that's correct, their explosive shot on their burst hits for like 30% or something. It's actually disgusting. If you don't dispel those explosive shots, it hits hard. It's no game. But we'll see. Ret Paladin, I assume, is going to be an S tier spec. Ret Paladins have been really good. You see one of these in every lobby as well. Between DKs, Warriors, just really all the S tier specs. You've probably seen them in almost every single lobby. Maybe not a lock, obviously. This is going to be mainly for the next season. But overall, these are probably what you're going to be seeing next season. Or next expansion. Like a lot of it. But yeah, that's pretty much that. Windwalker, I assume, is going to be an A tier spec. Windwalker's that class that just does a lot of burst damage, but it's the same thing as Boomy. If you get focused and off your burst, you're just doing no damage, and you're kind of just dying to air, and you're just kind of just not. You're only having a good time when you're bursting, and then after that, you're running and you're trying to survive until your burst. It's kind of like a sub rogue, but who knows? Who knows? We don't know what these classes are going to be like next expansion. It's all just what we think, what happens, all this what if. DH, I assume, is obviously going to be an S tier. DH has always been broken and really good. I haven't really seen much DHs, though. A lot of DHs just stopped playing it. I guess they just decided that it wasn't as good as it was, and they just dipped. I don't know what happened with DHs. I barely see them anymore. Survival Hunter is probably going to be a B tier. Um, there's a chance it could be A tier just because it does do damage, but it does lack in a few, categories. It dies really quick. It's kind of like it because you're not kiting as a hunter and a rogue and stuff. You don't really have evasion, and as a hunter, you kind of have to kite in order to stay alive. And as a serve, you're playing kind of in their face. So you're not just gonna be able to run away and not be able to play the game. Even though you can kind of you can kind of run and do damage. You eventually have to go in there and do your burst rotation. So it's like you have to throw your bombs, but you have to get close enough to throw your bombs. And I assume it's probably going to be an A tier. It could even be a B tier. Who knows? But SP, I guarantee it's going to be an S tier spec. SP is that class that's always good with control, and it has the damage currently right now. Right now, for some reason, it does a lot of damage. It can almost solo most people's. If you notice, if an SP just randomly stun silences you on a mind games or something, you're usually getting 120 in that stun silence. They do an insane amount of damage, and they're pretty strong right now. And I guarantee they're gonna get stronger. H-Pal is probably gonna be an A tier spec. Again, they haven't done. I haven't seen any buffs on H-Pal. They need an immense amount of healing, and without it, it's just not gonna work. And it's probably just gonna go down the B tier. So I'm gonna put it as A for now, just because overall it's okay, but it definitely needs a fat buff in order to compete. Disc Priest is probably going to be an S tier, probably depending on the situation. Disc Priest is actually really the only healer spec as Disc or as a priest that you can really play and strive as. Um, and it's really the only one that I ever see. I see a few Holy Priests, but they just get smacked on, or they get like they don't have damage reduction, which you really need in this type of meta. Holy Priest is probably going to be an A tier spec. Again, no damage reduction means no your class sucks pretty much. And then Shaman, same thing. You have Earthen Totem, but like everyone just runs out of it. It's just such a useless cooldown. I wish there was another way. Like they should just make Earthen Totems into literally Iron Barks, and like just let it put it on the like either let you put it on two targets at once, or at least just let you manually do it solely. So it's like you at least get to actually get benefit from it, because you rarely ever get benefit from your Earthen unless literally they like everyone's just stacked on it. But yeah, who knows? Mystery Rare, I assume it's probably going to be a B A tier. I haven't really heard anything about it. Maybe even an S tier, possibly, but I don't know. I feel like these healers are probably going to be the best. Evoker, Resident, and Disc are probably going to be your go-to healers, but who knows what'll happen. Let me know what you guys think about this video. If you guys did enjoy this video of my good old-fashioned future sense. I have a future sense where I can know what's going to be good. Who knows though? I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure you smash comment, and subscribe. And if you're interested in carries or coaching for the next season, we're doing on sale prices. Hit me up on my Discord, carries coaching. Get it now before it goes up in price. Because at the start of the season, the few months, or it's going to cost a lot more goal wise and all that good stuff. Because it's the start of a season, which means it's going to get a lot more pricey. So get it now while it's on sale, ladies and gentlemen. Otherwise, have a good rest of your night or day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace, peace.